After years of abuse and neglect, I completely surrendered to Jesus, and He led me through healing from the horrors of my childhood and adolescence into the wonderful life that I have now. And if He can do it for me, He can do it for you.
Freedom from my chains and healing from my pain. Everything's been changed 'cause Jesus called my name.
Hi, my name is Karen, and this is my life story. My story is interesting, to say the least. I was born in Nuremberg, Germany. My mother was an unwed woman. She left me in a Catholic nursing hospital. At 5 months old, I was adopted by an American military family. And when I was between 2 and 3, we moved back to the United States. So my dad was a colonel in the Army, and he had an amazing career, which gave me an amazing life. And so I've traveled all across the United States. I've lived in South America. I'm bilingual, English, Spanish. But at the same time, my life was horrible. My older adopted brother was mentally ill. And so our whole family revolved around him, and I was the victim. My parents spent all their time trying to deal with him, and so I was left alone, and I sort of became the sacrificial lamb in the family. No one protected me or defended me. Really, no one comforted me. And so while my life was this sort of bisected between having wonderful advantages with my father's career and having miserable times at home with my brother's sickness. I lived in Argentina when I was a kid, and that's where I gave my life to Jesus. Jesus was always with me, even when I was younger, but He was just my buddy. I talked to Him. I went to Sunday school, and I learned about Him, and I loved Him. When I lived in Argentina, I gave my life to Him, and that has helped and protected me throughout all of the abuse that I suffered until I was 18, and my mom threw me out of the house. So I lived the life of a hippie, and it was interesting. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. And I found myself 7 months pregnant, living in an old Ford Falcon, sleeping in a tent, moving from campground to campground. When my daughter was born, my life changed. I decided that she needed a good life, and so I went to college. I got a teaching credential, and I was a teacher for over 30 years. I married the father of one of my students, and I raised her. And unfortunately, it seems that I kind of married my brother. And so the abuse continued subtly, not physical abuse, but mental abuse. I retired, moved to Grants Pass, and got a divorce. But I found my life in this church, and I've gone deeper and deeper and deeper with God, and my life has been absolutely wonderful ever since, because I surrendered completely to God. I surrendered every single thing that I do to His will, His way, every day. And I have been involved in ministries in this church, which have been absolutely wonderful. I've been on mission trips. I've been to Ecuador. I've been to Turkey. And most recently, I found my heart in Israel. So I will be going back there many times. And I just want to say, surrender is what has kept me sane. And I have a verse. I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. After years of abuse and neglect, I completely surrendered to Jesus, and He led me through healing from the horrors of my childhood and adolescence into the wonderful life that I have now. And if He can do it for me, He can do it for you.